Hey, my name is Anthony Carroll and this is Diamond Works. So in today's video, we're going to be giving you kind of my initial short-term review on the SKIL RT1322 router. So let's get after it. Okay, so when you open up the box, this is everything that you get. You get your router, attached to your fixed base, your plunge base, edge guide, wrench, as well as a little 1/4 inch collet adapter here. You also get dust collection attachments. So one that goes on the back of the fixed base here, simple on and off, as well as a dust collection attachment that goes onto your plunge base, and it just simply goes on with a couple screws here. All right, for adjustment, it's pretty simple. You release the tension. You have your fine adjustment here, left or right, or up or down rather, as well as this connects through to here, so you can make any sort of adjustments with this mounted to a table. And that's why I chose this router, right? This is the only router that I own for the time being. So I want this router to kind of eventually live full time in a router table. So I figure, hey, I can use it as is right now. If I want to put some edge detail on something that I'm building or route some dados into something. But that will primarily get handled by a palm router eventually. All right, so taking off the base or switching bases is pretty easy. You flip this, depress this, and it slides right out. As you can tell, there's an arrow here. There's a corresponding arrow on the base right here. So you simply line up your arrows, and she drops right in. Clamp it closed, and you're good to go. Since we had the plunge base on, I'll go ahead and give you a quick overview of that. You still have your fine adjustment from the top of a table right here. Over here you have your depth adjustment. Moving to the back, here's your stop. So if you slide it down, depress that with your thumb, it holds it in place. It holds it fairly securely. I mean, I'm putting a good deal of pressure on that. I don't feel it moving either way. Your edge guide can go into either the fixed base or the plunge base. Pretty simple. It slides in. Adjust the distance simply by sliding it through. So at max capacity, going in this way, we're looking about almost 4 3/4 of an inch from edge to the center of the bit. You can insert it from the other end here. And that gives you a total of about 8 1/4 inches. However, you lose the additional stability that you get from having it follow this entire track, with this just being the singular attachment point. I don't know if I would trust this for anything too precise. All right, as far as the springs in the plunge base, they're fairly tight. The router, if depressed, it goes almost all the way back up. There's just maybe a 1/4 inch where the weight of the router keeps kind of some of the tension off the springs. However, that shouldn't be an issue unless you're using an obscenely long bit, because from here to the edge, or from here to where the collet is, you're looking at 2 inches. So if you're using a bit that's, like 1 3/4 or something like that, and you just go to set this on your table, you might end up accidentally marring your work surface a little bit. When you have this attached to power, you have a live indicator that is here. I don't know exactly why you need it, considering the display's lit. Maybe if you end up losing your display, you'll at least know it's plugged in here. You have a toggle on-off switch over here. Going over the actual display settings, you have your set menu, plus and minus arrows over here. So you go through first your bits, then your depth of cut, and then material type. Then it will select what it's recommending that you cut at, and then you can increase it from there in increments of 1500 RPMs. So all the way down, it's at 10,000. If we max this thing out, it goes up to 25,000. When you power this router on, it does start smoothly. And that was at 25,000. So if we back it down to its lowest setting, 10,000. And obviously you could see the, it doesn't have an LED light that shines down into your actual cut. Went ahead and mounted it back onto its fixed base, just to show you that you can install a bit without actually taking off the router from its base. So there's a couple little tabs here. You just put, there we go, press in, and it pops right off. And that gives you access into this little window here to install your bits. So I'll try to do this while looking into the camera. There's a couple detents and a stop feature here. So you depress this. I'm using a 1/4 inch bit, so I need to throw the collet adapter into it. Loosen it up a bit. Okay, so that's seated. And then throw our bit in. And tighten it up. And tighten up the collet. I think that's another complaint of mine. So if, like with this locked in or the stop and gauge, there's a fair bit of play, a couple mil with this wrench. This thing isn't obviously some highly tuned piece of equipment. It's just simple stamp steel. So I would probably toss this in the trash and get you a nice crescent wrench or something of that nature to make all your adjustments. I think over time, changing bits in this, a couple times a day over the years, it's going to quickly wear out the nut. Okay, so once everything's good, you take your little window here, throw it back in, and you're good to go. Okay, so I have everything set up to make a little test cut here. We have the machine plugged back in. I have my edge guide and a little piece of 3/4 inch plywood here. So we'll go through, make sure that our settings are correct. So pick our bit. Material. And wood species. There we go. Turn on the machine. All right, so there's the cut. Fairly clean, that's just a little knot in the wood there. The shoulders look good, not too much tear out, really any tear out along the tops here. So yeah, that was basically about a single cut or a single pass for installing like T-tracks into this plywood here that I have on the workbench. Which is, if you watch my previous videos, I had to borrow a buddy's router to do that. So I took all of that in one pass, where his little palm router, I had to take it and make it in a couple passes. So yeah, this thing definitely has more power than his palm router, which is, you know, kind of not surprising. Right? Okay, so for the bits that I'm using, I just picked up these little cheap sets, 15 bits in total, I believe. From Lowe's as well. Their SKIL brand, total cost for them was around $60. You know, granted, you're kind of like your table saw. You know, your saw is only as good as the blade that it's running. Your router is only as good as the bits that it's running. And these aren't obviously really nice bits. However, I'm fairly new to working with a router, so if I figure I'm going to mess something up, find a nail or forget about screw placement or something of that nature, I'd rather kind of learn those lessons with bits that's only going to cost me a few dollars. Versus having a bunch of money invested in nice bits and messing them up and learning my lesson that way. So, you know, these work for now. I doubt, you know, they'll hold their edge for very long, especially once I start working with hardwoods and stuff. But hey, they serve their purpose. Okay, so initial impressions of the router are pretty good, right? It's $140. I bought it from Lowe's, less my military discount. So I paid probably, what, $125 for the thing. You know, it's going to do all the things that I need it to do, at least at this stage, you know, in the hobby. Is it as nice as, you know, a Bosch that costs 2, 3, 4 times as much as the router? No, but then again, you can't really expect it to. Price, you know, the bang for the buck, I think this is a really good deal. Seems to have plenty of power. I like the adjustability of the digital display. You know, take some of the guesswork, especially for a novice like me, out of trying to set up a router as far as speeds and stuff of that nature. Will I outgrow it? Probably. You know, eventually I will outgrow it, but it's one of those things of, okay, well, you know, it's $140 it's out the door for, you know, me to gain that experience, learn something from using a tool, and if I end up, you know, dropping this or something, I'm not going to be too upset about it. So I hope you liked the video. If you found anything useful, please like and subscribe. Thanks.